Hello, hi, and welcome to TNIE. Today we are in conversation with Blue Cross chairperson Amala Akkineni garu. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Shreya.
How are you?
Very good. Welcome to Blue Cross of
Thank you
Hyderabad.
so much, ma'am.
And just a note for you and the audience, if you hear all the animals calling and sounds, we're right here in the animal shelter of Blue Cross at Jubilee Hills.
Thank you so much. Ma'am, firstly, I would want to understand the recent pet show that happened, Love My Indie Dog. Could you talk about that a little?
Sure. Um, January is the anniversary month of Blue Cross of Hyderabad. We have a host of activities and all targeted at the community dog. The community dog is the homeless dog. It's the street dog. It's a dog that has evolved over time on the streets. It's hardy, resilient, extremely docile because otherwise it won't be able to survive in close proximity with human beings. And this dog, to reduce its numbers, we have a sterilization program and an adoption program. And through this adoption program, over the last, 2, 3 decades, we have built a beautiful community of people in Hyderabad who love the indie dog. And we call it the indie dog because it doesn't have a breed. Right? It's a mixture of many different breeds and it's evolved naturally. So we call it the indie. We call it affectionately the indie dog. And the adoption program is basically supported and appreciated by this dog show. The dog show is not a competition, but it's a celebration of people who have gone out of their way to open their hearts and their homes and bring in these indie dogs whom they've adopted and kind of made them members of their family. So it's a very special event for us, and we like to celebrate it as the indie dog show.
So, ma'am, tell us about your plans with Mars Pet Care and your association, Blue Cross Association with them.
Many years ago, one of the Mars family members, now Mars is a huge international corporation that focuses on food, and we got a request from Mars India branch that they would like to bring one of the Mars family to come and visit. And it was quite a remarkable connection that happened. They not only appreciated, not only did the company and the ethical values of the company appreciate all that Blue Cross was doing, but they began to support us in quite substantial ways that really took. The initial connection was to help us improve our facilities and make the surgery, the entire surgery, more international in standard. And then it was to support us with food for the adoption program. And we found that across India, in animal shelters where they cook the food, a lot of the animals suffer from diarrhea and dysentery because cooked food, no matter how well intended or how good the ingredients, when you leave it out, within half an hour it begins to deteriorate. And if and shelter animals are not always healthy and active. They are animals that have come from the street for some kind of treatment or some kind of injury or requirement for help. And when they wouldn't eat as fast as say a healthy pet would. So when they dilly dally on the food starts to deteriorate, and that's not visible to the human eye. And in the long run, this causes diarrhea and dysentery. And across India, shelters were struggling from that, including Blue Cross. So the day that Mars Pet Care introduced kibble into Blue Cross feeding program, within 24 hours we found animals recovering from those conditions. We found their skin and their health improving. Their coats became thick and lush, and their mental well-being. You could see suddenly these animals wanted to play, which an unhappy animal won't want to play, right? They wouldn't know. So when we saw, I mean, even at home in those days, we used to feed cooked food. We never, India wasn't used to kibble. It was the first time we were being exposed to commercially made pet food and packed pet food, and the effect was remarkable. And this, when animals are healthier, the smells come down. Suddenly people were saying Blue Cross smells so nice, because there was no dysentery, there was no diarrhea, and you could smell it in the air. The health came back. And I'm really grateful for that support that Mars Pet Care gave. Our adoption program increased. People suddenly wanted to adopt these breedless indies because they looked healthy, they were playful, they were in a much better frame of mind. Good intentions alone don't make things work. I think it takes a collaboration of many, many professionals to make things work. And I hope you, as a professional, will also appreciate the beauty and wonder of the indie dog. My connection with the indie dog goes back to my childhood. I grew up in a hostel, and we had like 14, 15 street dogs that had adopted us. And I just loved each one of them dearly. They were our companions and our playmates. And yeah, I spent 10 years in my hostel in Kalakshetra, and those dogs kept us all company. And when they died, we cried. And when they were sick, we took care of them. And when we played, they played with us. And yeah, and Mars Pet Care has really helped us build that community. It's a collaboration.
So, ma'am, do you think there's a growing popularity of indie dogs?
Good question. So, indie dogs across the country, if you go to any village, it's only the indie dog, right? Every other village home has a dog sleeping at their doorstep. Every chai shop has 2-3 dogs sleeping there. People have their tea and eat their biscuit, and they also feed the dog, right? So across India, this was the favored dog.
Yeah, that's true.
And I suppose they are quite friendly and pack. They're extremely loyal to their pack. So the village would have a pack of these dogs who would then disperse and go to their places, being fed by whichever kind human they found. But the cities, of course, there is I think there is something about city culture that is very fashionable and likes fashionable things. And I can't dispute that a pedigree, there's a lot of science that goes into the breeding of pedigree dogs. And the science kind of breeds out the aggression or health issues. And so selective breeding has made them very beautiful, very good natured and suitable as pets. However, unscientific breeding also goes on. And when unscientific breeding happens, then all the health issues come into one animal. And most of the random backyard breeding programs that are happening in Hyderabad, you randomly buy a puppy without understanding the impact. A lot of bad breeding has led to severe health issues in pedigree dogs. And these severe health issues cost a lot of money to treat. And invariably, because people don't want to spend that kind of money, they leave the dog on the street. Yeah. I believe that the indie dog has a good solution. That, okay, you want to adopt a beautifully bred pedigree dog. I mean, I respect that. But your second dog, get an indie, because your indie will take care of your pedigree. Your pedigree is usually very delicate and,
Yes, that's true.
very, very delicate. Your indie dog will give its life to protect you, your family, and your pedigree pet. And I have heard so many stories of people who come saying how much trauma they went through bringing up their pedigree pet, until they heard me talk about it publicly, to say that, look, I know, I've been through it myself. I used to rescue all those pedigrees abandoned on the street, and there was a time Nagarjuna and me had 18 of them.
Okay.
18 we looked after together, and all of them with health issues, bad heart, deformities, unable to walk, hip dysplasia, all pedigrees abandoned because of bad breeding on the streets. But our indies looked after them.
Okay.
It was incredible. And besides the sterilization operation and the vaccination once a year, the canine vaccines and anti-rabies vaccines once a year, I never had to take, touch wood, I never had to take any of my indies to my vet.
Okay.
And when my other dogs got tick fever, this fever, that fever, my indie dog was donating blood for them to rescue them.
Okay.
I mean, it's quite remarkable. I wouldn't be sitting here endorsing the fact that they are the most resilient, incredible dogs you will ever have, you can ever connect with. I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it.
So, ma'am, I would want to understand how did these indies have emerged as preferred choice of urban animal welfare homes?
Well, it's experience. All the rescued pedigree pets that I have taken care of have all had health issues.
Okay.
And today, veterinary care is remarkable. I love my vets. Oh, each one of them are my heroes. They are incredible, and the facilities and the medicines, everything is remarkable, but it's also expensive. And if you don't have the budget to spend thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of rupees on your pedigree pet each time they go to the vet, then you have to start thinking, right? You have to start thinking, what can I afford? What do I have time for? How much trauma do I want to put myself through and my family? If you have time and money and effort and people for all of that, it's your life. I wouldn't judge you. But if you have issues, I would say you have to start thinking, do you have that kind of money? Do you have that kind of time that a pedigree pet would demand? It's delicate. It needs a lot of science and paraphernalia. And if you choose that, that's fine. I respect that. But if not, then what are you waiting for? This is nature's wonder. It's going to give you the same love. It's going to give you perhaps even more devotion, because they're eternally grateful. There is a grateful gene in an indie dog.
That's true.
It kind of comes from its years of evolving on kindness. So there is a grateful gene. There is a very hardy, resilient survival nature, and it's born with some kind of innate intelligence, where it not only patrols and looks after the territory it's in, the people who feed it, but also any other creature that's there. You don't have to teach an indie. Yeah.
Ma'am, if I could ask, what motivated you to start Blue Cross decades ago? And also, if you have to highlight any significant achievements of Blue Cross.
Wow. That's that's a beautiful door to open in my memory. So I used to volunteer with the Blue Cross, which is Blue Cross of India in Chennai. Some amazing people there. And when I moved to Hyderabad, after I married Nagarjuna, I moved to Hyderabad, and I used to see sick and injured animals lying on the street. Being an animal welfare volunteer, I would pick them up, bring them home, and very soon my entire house was filled with injured animals. We had a buffalo with a broken hip in my garage. She was under treatment. My vet used to live just down the road, Dr. Lakshmi. She's still road number 5. I used to live in road number 7 at that time, Bachara. There was a donkey with a broken leg. We had a mongoose, a blind mongoose, and cats and dogs and birds. They were everywhere, and they were all under treatment, trying to recover, because there was no animal shelter I could find here. And there was a lovely vet in a government veterinary hospital who also used to help me. Nagarjuna came home one day and he suggested, it was his idea. He said, the house is so full now, you won't be able to bring in any more. Why don't you think of doing it for the city? Okay. That's how it was started. Till then, I was only just volunteering, doing my bit. And he donated our first van. And it started in Shantinagar Government Hospital. That's how Blue Cross started. So the shelter in my house started as soon the day I reached Hyderabad in June, and it was registered in January of 1993. Yeah, so we're 31 years. It started with rescuing because we were a very small city at that time. Hyderabad was a sleepy little city. But as the city grew, it grew and grew and grew. A growing city has different issues, right? So Blue Cross of Hyderabad, Blue Cross of India helped me start. They trained me, and I went to the Animal Welfare Board training. We set up things here. And I must say, I feel guilty taking credit, because very honestly, this is impossible to do by one person. Yeah, I have had dozens of incredible vets, dozens of amazing people who came and served on my board, in my committee, to govern the whole thing. Hundreds of volunteers, all who just kind of, the minute they heard Blue Cross was starting, they flocked. And it was quite remarkable. They would come and find me, and it was like I was their long lost friend and family. And they would just start serving. I mean, doing voluntary service that, you can't get even if you pay, that kind of dedication. So with all these people working behind me or working side by side, we always focused on finding a solution for a big issue that the city was facing. So there were the sick and dying animals. We started the rescue. For stray dog population increase, we started the animal birth control program. For rabies and dog bites, we started the vaccination program against rabies. In those days, there were horses and tongas working, bullock carts, there were camels working. So we had a mobile clinic for working animals that ran for almost 12 years. And it ran in partnership with Brook Hospitals for Animals UK. We had a prevention of cruelty to animals program in collaboration with People for Animals and the RSPCA UK. And in this manner, we were the Center for Animal Welfare Board of India for all their animal welfare work in the state. We even worked with a Born Free Foundation and Wildlife SOS to get circus animals, wildlife out of the circus and rehabilitate them in rescue homes, rescue sanctuaries. This is the lion, panther, bear, all of them. So we worked with the Animal Welfare Board of India and the CPC SCA for bringing in more ethical treatment of animals in laboratories. And each decade, different things was the need of the hour. When we turned 25, we realized the city had grown so vast, one small organization like ours could not service the needs of so many demands. So then we kind of divided the city into different zones. And just as the municipal authorities have done, each zone has its municipal facilities and services. Each zone has an animal welfare organization that is focusing on the animals in that area. And we stopped everything else and started focusing mainly on controlling dog management and controlling the population through sterilization operations and trying to move as many puppies off the street as the beautiful India into dog homes.
Ma'am, can you talk a little in detail about your family's association with the organization as well?
For my family, it's like my daughter.
Okay.
Nagarjuna and me were the founders.
Yeah.
So it's our daughter, and she's 31 years now. My family are all Blue Cross patrons, and patrons are unconditional volunteers, donors, supporters, advocates. So they know that Blue Cross is one of my top priorities and is part of me.
Okay.
Blue Cross of Hyderabad is part of me. And helping animals is part of our ethos, our family ethos. I think they're all animal crazy, and it's in our blood.
Okay, ma'am, when it comes to Hyderabad,
Yeah.
how do you think Hyderabad ranks in terms of, having a safe haven for Indies?
I haven't done that kind of. I really wouldn't know how to answer it, but I'd say that the tribe is growing. The indie loving tribe is growing. We definitely have to do a lot more work as far as networking to come together. It's a big job to come together. I think Chennai, people are more accustomed to living in apartments. The apartment culture goes back a very long way in Chennai, and also because in apartments, they, despite being in apartments, they have indies.
Yes.
Right? Here in Hyderabad, because people were used to having their own space and they still have space, they keep thinking that if I live in an apartment, how can I keep a dog?
That's true.
But the truth is, and this is definitely a revelation, the truth is, it's not the space and the money that you have to keep a dog. It is the space you have here. If you have the space here, even a homeless person has a dog. You know? So for the dog, space is affection. Do you have space in your day for me? That's all that matters.
That's true.
And if you have that space, the dog will give its life for you. And it will show you how it will find its own space.
Like, there are a lot of problem with, indie dogs in the street as well. You can see a lot of news coverages like, street dog menus and everything. So how do you think, from your perspective, how can we tackle this problem?
Very good question. I think it's an important one. Rapid urbanization creates two issues. One is huge amounts of garbage.
That's true.
And nature abhors a vacuum. You create garbage, which is a food source. It will create a species to breed off it. So the dog has history of over 50,000 years of living in close proximity to human beings purely on this. Through food, the dogs would breed. And of course, the wise humans learned to harness this devotion and this need of the dog, and they made them hunt for them, they made them protect their caves or their dwellings, and that was a relationship. But cities, I suppose, too much garbage. I mean, nobody has seen that kind of garbage. The sheer quantity of waste food that is being disposed of. So it needs a two-pronged program. One is a very strong dog management program, and the other is a very clear civic garbage disposal. Right? The civic sense has to start from the family. That if you know, responsible garbage disposal and responsible dog management. So, what is the dog management? The dog management is where you sterilize local dogs so they don't breed, and you vaccinate them so they keep a rabies-free zone in the community. Because removing them, what happens is it creates the vacuum around the food source. And quickly, within like 48 hours or 3-4 days, a new pack of dogs will come. And these dogs are roaming dogs. They don't know people in the area. They're suspicious. They may bring rabies into the city. And this is how the dog bite happens. So wherever you find the dog bite, please go and investigate. You will see that people have either poisoned the local dogs, removed them and relocated them somewhere else, or they have been killed. And because of that, new dogs have moved in, and they're the ones who can bite. So the entire ABC program, which is animal birth control rules, stray dog control rules, written by Government of India, mandated by Animal Welfare Board of India, is based on this. That removal of the dogs is dangerous, don't do that. Instead, sterilize and vaccinate them. And they will guard that street, they won't let outside dogs in. But it's not enough to do dog management alone. You have to have responsible garbage disposal, and we have to have very localized civic garbage disposal programs.
Ma'am, your love for dogs
Yes.
and all the animal community like us, can you express it? How would you express?
I don't remember a time I didn't love them. I think I have always loved them. Maybe it comes from a deep connection to nature. I think if you are connected to nature, you believe that every species here is part of your family, right? Whether a tree or an animal. And I think I belong to that family of humankind who's just another part of nature. I also felt very responsible for them from a young age because I realized I could help them. But I also discovered that they helped me. They helped me grow as a human being. They helped me. I mean, I remember having anxiety about being a mother. And then I saw this amazing dog just jump off a truck and go and have puppies under a bush. And then she came out an hour later running to get food. And then she was looking after them. And 3 weeks later, the puppies were running around. And they were so healthy and happy. And she was so friendly and affectionate. And I thought that was one of the greatest messages of motherhood that I could ever have. Gave me a lot of confidence to be a mother myself. The companionship, I have never felt alone ever. Anywhere I go, even a lizard on the wall would give me comfort. Or a frog in the garden would give me comfort. I know it sounds funny, but I really do believe that. For me, snakes give me joy when I see them. I think I had great teachers amazing teachers. I had a dear friend, Jyotsna's father was Siddharth Butch, an ornithologist. And he said, "Don't call it a bird. It has a name." So I learned to identify an owl, an egret, little purple sunbird. I learned to identify them at a very young age. So each one has a name, has a personality. Same with snakes. Rajkumar, the original snake man of Hyderabad, taught me how to identify snakes, and it was always a healthy curiosity. Oh my God, what snake is it? And then you would identify it. I had a wonderful dance teacher. I think I started learning dance from her at the age of 10 or 11 at Kalakshetra. And Sharada Hoffman, and she always told me about the cruelties that went into all the ways of breeding animals for food. And I think it was under her influence that I turned vegetarian at 11. I was 11 when I turned vegetarian. I said, I love animals, so I'm not going to eat them. And then her husband, Peter Hoffman, was the gentleman who wrote the first draft of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. And he wrote that draft for Rukmini Devi, Arundel, who was the director of my college. And she was an MP when she presented it in Parliament. So my roots go back so deeply influenced by the animal welfare movement, by the entire ethos. I mean, animals themselves, that starting Blue Cross was just the most natural thing to do. I never planned. I don't think I'm a very good strategy. I'm not good at strategy, but I'm very good at implementation. Yeah, I got to do something. I would, check it out, do the survey, find all the loopholes, have all the discussions, bring in all the players that matter, convince them. We would do a pilot, prove to them that it works, and then I would set the system in place.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for shining your light on indie dogs and giving your insights about how it is important to protect them. We really had a good time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming and opening the door of going down memory lane of 31 years is quite an honor. Thank you for coming. Thanks.